Okay. Hi guys. So since we are not meeting synchronous time today, I'm just gonna go ahead and record this video to show you what you should be doing while we are not meeting synchronously. We're gonna be asynchronous the whole day today because I do have to proctor the SAT test with the seniors. So let's go ahead and do that. So first, what I need you to do is I need you to go ahead and answer the daily question for today. Okay, please do this. If you don't do anything else, do this because this is going to count as your attendance for today. So Kinnear already answered it yesterday. So bad, Kinnear, you did not wait until the design day, but whatever. So the question is basically asking you, which would you like most likely use to review for the Unit 1 test on Thursday? That's your test. It's going to be on Thursday. And you can pick more than one. So you can pick short videos on topics covered, like the crash course videos, the study guide that is going to appear on the hub by the time you're watching it, me reviewing how to answer short answer questions. So I already made videos like this. So the link is going to be on the study guide for Unit 1. Or if you want to see a video of me reviewing all of Unit 1, like the whole thing, and I haven't made this yet, but I can if I get enough requests. So I would like to know which one would you guys like the best. So please answer that. I will use this feedback to cater the course to best suit you guys. So go ahead and do that. Daily question, please do it. And then once you have finished that daily question, you're going to go ahead and open up this document. Okay, this document is called Feudalism Compared WS. You can find it on the hub, and it will also be emailed to you today. So multiple ways of finding it. This is the document that you are going to turn in today as your assignment for today. So at the top, you're going to find the link to this video lesson. I'm recording it right now, so it's not up yet, but it will be up once you have access to that document. And our objective for today is we're basically going to compare and contrast feudalism in Japan and Europe during the Middle Ages. So the next part is I'm going to give a short, very brief review of feudalism in Japan and Europe, and I'm going to follow this outline basically. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to, in your document, just go ahead and take notes on each of these sections as I go through the lecture. So the PowerPoint will not be available to you. It will be just me doing my thing here. So if you need me to pause or slow down or repeat anything I said, just pause the video, rewind, slow down. You can even slow down the speed at which I talk. That's a cool feature on YouTube. So that's basically what we're going to do right now. So let's go ahead and get our PowerPoint presentation up. All right, so Feudalism Compared, Japan and Europe. All right, so if you notice, we have to define feudalism. So this would be the definition right here. And Kinnear did a great job of defining it when he did his vocab for 1.6. So whichever one you use, I'm totally okay with it. But just know that feudalism is going to be a decentralized is the key term here, social and political order formed for reasons of protection. So remember, decentralized, and it's going to control social life and political life. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at why Japan developed feudalism during this time period. So before feudalism, we had Japan absorbing lots of cultural features from China. Okay, remember, sinification is that big word that we learned. we had Confucianism and Buddhism come from China. Buddhism kind of morphed into this branch of Zen Buddhism that's going to basically be the dominant form of Buddhism in Japan. And the emperor is going to be our basically key figure that's going to rule this this country, Japan. And the emperor is going to rule because he has divine status. So the emperor traces his lineage basically all the way back to the sun goddess that is the goddess that founded the island of Japan, supposedly. And the emperor is basically her descendant. So he ruled Japan because of his status in relation to the gods, instead of his military might. Didn't have a lot of military might. So this is going to actually cause the emperor to lose his power politically. So we're going to have local lords rule parts of Japan in little clans, and they are called daimyos. So daimyos are going to be our local lords that are ruling clans that have control over a certain piece of land in Japan. And they're going to start to grow to be more powerful than the emperor. They're going to be so powerful that they're actually going to be more powerful than the emperor. The emperor is going to lose his political power and just be kind of demoted to being a symbolic figure that rules the country symbolically, not actually ruling. Like, people don't actually do what he says, but people pretend that the emperor still rules. So as the daimyos are growing more powerful, they're going to clash into each other, and they're going to fight for dominance and power. And so this is how feudalism is going to develop in Japan. So because the emperor does not rule only symbolically, does not rule politically, Japan is going to become decentralized and break up into these fragmented states where daimyos, the rulers of each of these kind of pieces of land, states, are going to fight for power. So this is more or less what Japan is going to look like under feudalism. You see, it's fragmented into all of these different sections. We have the different names of the clans, like the Oda and the Tokugawa, and they are going to fight for dominance over each other. We're going to have lots of periods where the Oda is going to take over the Takeda or the Asakura, stuff like that. So that's the political situation that's going to lead Japan into becoming feudal during this time period. Now let's look at Europe. So why did feudalism develop in Europe? Well, if we remember, before the Middle Ages, which is when Europe had this feudalism, we had Europe, especially Western Europe, being ruled by the western half of the Roman Empire. So the western half of the Roman Empire is going to unite Western Europe under a centralized government. But then when it falls, Europe is kind of left in the hands of local lords because there's no central authority, so your authority is going to go to basically the person that you know, your local landlord. And all of these lands are going to be frequently invaded by these barbarian tribes like the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths. They're going to frequently invade these lands. So the local lords were left with a problem of how do we protect our lands from being invaded by these invaders when there is no central authority to protect us. So they're basically going to form a system of self-protection, and that is feudalism. So this is going to lead to the decentralization of Europe during the Middle Ages. So if we see, this is the western half of the Roman Empire, and then the eastern half is still intact under the Byzantine Empire. But if we can see, we see it's broken up into like little kingdoms, and then these kingdoms they seem like they're united, but they're not really united. So within these, even within the kingdom is broken up into different pieces of land that are ruled by different people. Okay, so what was the social structure like in Japan? So first of all, we had the lowest class, which are the merchants, and they are the lowest class because they're considered not producing anything useful for society because they don't produce anything on their own. Then above them, we had the peasants and the artisans, and this is the largest class, so they produce most of the stuff that Japan is going to use. Then above them are the samurai, and these were the warrior class of Japan. So there is a lot of animes about like samurai and everything, and this is the time period in which they were really like what we think of modern day samurais, like warriors, and they were skilled fighters and stuff like that. And then above the samurai, we had the daimyo. The daimyo are our local landlords, and they are our wealthy landowners, and they are going to rule over the samurai. So the daimyo are going to give land to the samurai, and the samurai are going to have the peasants and the artisans work the land. And then in exchange for that work, the samurai are gonna protect the peasants from any attacks from rival clans. And then the shogun is the top of the food chain. He is the ruler of all the daimyos. So during this time period, we're actually gonna see a lot of daimyos vie for control over who's gonna be the shogun. So there's a lot of animes about that too. It's pretty interesting. And then above them, supposedly, is the emperor. So he's at the top of the social structure because he is basically like the representative of the gods on earth, but he has very little political power. The shogun is actually the ruler of Japan, and the shogun is going to rule Japan in the name of the emperor. He's like, I'm not the emperor, but I'm ruling with his permission. So that's the social structure of Japanese feudalism. So let's talk a little bit more about the daimyos and the samurai. So the daimyos are going to be our local lords that are going to control the land. And they're going to have samurai as their warriors. But our daimyos are often going to go to war with them as well. So this is a daimyo, and then this is a samurai. So that would be pictures of them. And then our samurais are going to be our warriors who are going to pledge allegiance to the daimyo. And they're going to follow this code of honor known as Bushido. And they're going to protect peasants and the daimyo's domain, which is the daimyo's tract of land. And they take this code of Bushido very seriously. They would rather die than be dishonored. So some of you probably know the act of seppuku, which is when the samurai take their sword and just like stab their stomach, and that's considered an honorable suicide. So a lot of times when samurai would be faced with an enemy that they would lose to, they would rather commit suicide in the seppuku instead of dying by the hands of their enemies. So a lot of times that would happen, or be taken hostage by the enemies. So this would be the structure of Japanese feudalism. So we had the shogun basically at the top, and then the shogun had all the daimyos under him, and they have loyalty to the shogun. And then the daimyo had multiple samurais under him. So you can see it's like a little pyramid. And then the samurai have multiple peasants under them that are working for them and providing all of the food. Okay, so European social structure, what was that like? It's very similar to Japanese feudalism. So feudal structure for Europe was the monarch, which is technically the king, is at the top, and the kings are going to grant land to their noble lords. That's the nobility. And then the lords are going to grant land to the knights. And in exchange, the knights are going to be loyal and they're going to provide military service to the lords. And then the knights are going to have the peasants, and in this case they were serfs, they're going to have them work the land. So this is how it's very similar to Japanese. And then if you notice right here, this guy is the Pope. And during this time period in Europe, since Christianity was still very, very much important, Christianity didn't go away with the Roman Empire, the Pope, which is the basically figure of authority in Christianity at this time, is going to have a lot of control over all of these monarchs and all of these lords and all of these knights. So the Pope is a very powerful figure. The church is a very powerful organization during this time period. So let's take a closer look at our lords. Our lords are going to own the land, so there are wealthy landowners. They're going to grant land to the knights in order for loyalty and protection. And then our knights are that warrior class that are going to serve the Lord, and they're going to protect the peasants. And the knights are following a code of chivalry. Okay, and chivalry is similar to that code of Bushido, but the knights aren't going to take the whole honor dishonor thing so seriously. They don't commit suicide by the seppuku. Chivalry is more like a code of honor that's like always be a good person, and it mixes values of Christianity in there as well. So this is a knight pledging allegiance to his lord. So this would be good examples of that. And then we have the structure again. It's like a little pyramid. So we've got the king at the top. The king grants lands to the lords grant land to the knights in exchange for loyalty and protection, and the knights have the peasants or the serfs working the land. Okay, so what are the political, social, and economic characteristics of this system? So we're going to have politically in Japan, this is a decentralized system of rule. The shogun is the actual ruler, while the emperor is a symbolic figure. Socially, this is going to provide an organization of classes based on their occupation. And the peasants are going to be treated not unlike the serfs in Europe. They were a little bit treated like property, and they were tied to the land. Economically, we're not going to see a lot of trade happening with foreign countries. So Japan is really only going to trade with China and Korea during this time period. And our samurais are going to be sometimes paid in rice in exchange for their service. Now, what are the political, social, and economic characteristics of Europe? So again, it's a decentralized system of rule. We're going to see manorialism be used a lot. And if you look at your notes for 1.6, you'll know what that means. Basically, a manor, which is like a big estate, is going to produce everything. And then the Pope is going to have the most political power in this system. And then we had a social structure that was kind of tied to your occupation as well. We are going to see serfs tied to the land. And so serfs are going to be tied to the land. Economically, we are also going to see a little trade, especially long distance trade. Not a lot of long distance trade going on in Europe. with foreign nations. So manorialism, basically everything is produced in this big estate, is actually going to keep these manners from trading with each other because they're going to produce basically everything they need in their little community. All right, so now on your own, try to think of any differences and similarities that you're seeing between these two systems. There's definitely a lot going on, and you can really pick out any differences and any similarities. So you would, hypothetically, after that, you would have filled out all of this. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to answer an SAQ, a short answer question. So I'll go ahead and help you guys through the first bit, but I want you to do the rest on your own. So this is what an SAQ is going to look like on the exam. You guys have only seen like the first part of it, so I've given you maybe like a stimulus or just the SAQ by itself, and it's like explain one similarity in the political organization of Japan and Western Europe in the post-classical age. So you guys are used to just seeing one of these, but actually an SAQ consists of 3 parts, A, B, and C, and you have to answer all of them using the ACE method. Okay, so may I remind you that the ACE method is answer the question, cite specific evidence, and explain the evidence. Okay, remember, this happened because, please use that. So let's go ahead and answer the SAQ. So we do have a little bit of a stimulus, and it says 2 societies in the world developed fully feudal political systems in the post-classical age, Western Europe and Japan. As it happens, they both did so at about the same time. Both used feudal relationships in situations where they could not sustain more centralized forms of political organization. And this is from Peter Stearns, from his book, World Civilizations, The Global Experience. So let's look at what our SAQs are asking us to do. So part A, which is the first part, is basically saying, explain just one, similarity in the political organization of Japan and Western Europe in the post-classical age. So one similarity in the political organization of Japan and Western Europe in the post-classical age. Post-classical age just means after our classical empires. So that's basically this time period that we're talking about now. So there's a lot of answers to this that you can put. So you can put the emergence of feudalism as one of your answers, or you can put the absence of a centralized governing power. So lots of possibilities. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the emergence of feudalism, or a feudal system. So answering the question, I'm basically just rephrasing the question in a sentence form. So I can say one similarity in the political organization of Japan and Western Europe in the post-classical age is, and here's where I put my answer, the emergence of a feudal system. Okay, so that's just A. We're not done. We got to provide some evidence. So let's provide some specific evidence. And I'm going to go ahead and just look to Europe for this. So in the Middle Ages, after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, Western Europe fragmented into small decentralized states, each controlled by a local lord. So that's my evidence. Now, let me explain it. Remember, we're using that sentence stem. This happened because. So why did Europe fragment and form feudal system? So this happened because there was no central authority in the region to govern over all of Western Europe and provide protection from frequent invasions from outsiders. Okay. So if you noticed, I answered the question following the ACE format, and this is just one part of the question. So I want you guys to go ahead and do the same thing for the other two short answer questions. Remember, all of this is just one short answer question. So this is what they would look like on your exam. Okay. So the next one is explain one similarity in the social organization of Japan and Western Europe. So remember, social. So it's talking about those social factors. So how are people organized in society? Is there a hierarchy? Stuff like that. And then C says explain one reason why Japan and Western Europe adopted feudalism in the post-classical age. So that's our cause of why they developed these feudal systems. So go ahead and answer both on your own, and then you're going to turn it in on the hub. There's going to be an assignment that's posted to the announcement that says Feudalism Compared. That's the assignment. So you're just going to upload this document onto there, and when you're done with that, then you are done for today. You have completed all that you need to complete. So the next thing I want you guys to do is I want you to go ahead and study for your test on Thursday. So it's going to be on AP Classroom, so make sure you are signed up to that. And this is the study guide for the test. Feel free to use it if you want. You don't have to, but just a good way to study. So this will be up on the hub. It'll be in that first announcement. Don't worry, it'll be in your face. You'll know where to find it. So it basically has a map of everything that's happening. And I got this from Freemanpedia. I'll link it below. At the end of the study guide, it has all of the vocabulary that we have covered. It's a lot, I know, but some of your classmates did present wonderful definitions for a lot of these vocabulary terms. So go ahead and look back on those definitions, because some of y'all did a great job on the vocab for this unit. Y'all did such a great job. So this is the vocabulary. And then the next part is all the possible short answer questions that I might give you. So I'm going to pick two from this list of possible ones. You can see some are just the short answer question without a stimulus, and then the other ones are they have a stimulus, so they have a primary or secondary source that will help you answer the question. Okay, so I'll choose two from these. It's going to be here. And then the last part that I wanted to show you guys was a link to a YouTube playlist of all of these videos that you can watch. So if you open it up, it should look like this. And it's a lot of videos, but you don't have to watch all of them. You only have to do it if you want to. But this guy, he does really good videos. You got Crash Course in here. This guy basically reviews all of he basically goes by the textbook, so I recommend this guy. And then we've got Khan Academy. It's a lot of videos. These animated ones are really cool too. So a TED Ed video, lots of cool videos, lots of cool videos. So that's all of that. And then there is another video of me reviewing how to answer an SAQ question, and I do answer one of the possible ones, so I recommend you guys go ahead and watch that. So this study guide is going to be on the hub by the time you watch this, so watch out for it. And just, I guess, study for the test. That's all I can tell you guys, so good luck, and thanks for watching.